What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Game Day Squad football show for round 10, brought to you by the Game Day Society. I'm Mark, and I'm joined by Zonald again. Welcome back.
Hello,
It's only
everyone.
been a few days, hey?
Yeah, quick turnaround with the
Yeah.
early week stream.
So, how have you been since the last saw you? How was your weekend? I don't really care about your real weekend, just your Game Day Squad weekend.
Yeah, screw that. I only focus on Game Day Squad anyway. Who cares about
Yeah,
my
good.
family?
Good.
It was all right because it's the first time I haven't gone good week, bad week. So I had a really good week the previous week, and then I had what I'd call like probably an above average but not really good week,
Mhm.
which allowed me to maintain my ranks without having to chase it again this week.
Yeah, no, that's right. I had a bit of a kind of, I don't know, it was just like a meh week. Like I had some good players, I had some spuds, and everything just kind of balanced out to like, mid-table for a lot of things. And I won't be high up in the prizes, but it kind of kept me in, I guess, contention for some of the prizes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, probably not the worst week to have because it means that, I can turn it around and I can learn from it. So
Should say safely through the cup as well. For like, I think I was like probably in the 20s to 30s for most comps. So classic,
yeah,
I think was like 25th.
yeah. So I think like unless we have a horror this week, we should be pretty safe, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see in the chat who else is looking at their scores. If anyone's a bit nervous about getting in the cup,
Yeah.
make sure you get in the comments. Let us know. But let's just push on through. So obviously the round's pretty, close. Like it wasn't that long ago it finished. And there were some decent performers, especially, down back, lots of goal scorers. How many of these guys did you pick from, say, the team of the round? Sorry, I know that's quite small, actually, isn't it?
I don't think I had too many, if any, to be honest. Roden. Roden was my only one. I considered Petrovic. I think we discussed that a little. Rofs I was looking
Yeah.
at because he's just got good save potential for Sunderland, so why not? And like Kuna was in my stats, but I was worried he wouldn't start. Welbeck was one I had sort of next in line instead of Salah, and I was Armin and Aaron. They're only like 4 points apart in the end, so it didn't matter too much though.
Yeah. I had a couple. I did go Petrovic, thankfully, and Roden as well. And I had Buemo come on as an emergency in a couple of games, I think, for players who didn't start and things like that. So it worked out all right in the end, but still missed out on a few of those big ones, which probably, in hindsight, should have been on the radar. I just thought I'd highlight some of these scores from the winners of the round. Interestingly, the winner of Classic had the highest score overall, which is pretty crazy considering they beat teams with legends and diamonds in them. So
Yeah,
congratulations, Soft Tissue. That's a massive achievement.
for sure. I was convinced Mills had it wrapped up based on the team she put out, but a couple of people just like went off and must have picked some of the pods in the last day, like Van der Ven and whatnot. Maybe Porro was quite popular.
Yeah, and we've got Mel's in the chat here. So Classic fourth this week. It was incredible.
Really good.
Like I was chatting to you and like tracking it, and you just had such a hot start. It was great.
Yeah.
But let's just crack into the round. Let's put all that behind us. I know it was only a couple of days ago, but look at sorry, I was going to jump straight into the fixtures, but we've got to talk about the cup, don't we? Obviously, this is the final round for qualification to get in the cup. Obviously, your scores from last round and this round, the Classic comp will combine. All you have to do is enter a team and everything else happens in the background. And the top 128 coaches go through. And as we mentioned last week on the channel, we'll be doing the Game Day Society Cup Bounty, which I'll just do a little bit of a spiel here again. So all you need to do is DM me, or you can DM someone as well if you want, but send through a card that you're going to stake as your bounty. If you play against someone else who is in the bounty, the winner of that game in the cup gets the cards. So you have to hand them over. But also each week on the show, we'll be doing a prize wheel for everyone who's still in the bounty active. So make sure you get in, send me a message. I can answer any questions you have. But yeah, it's a little bit of fun on the side, but just open to anyone as long as it's above a bronze card. So now I think we can start talking about round 10, which is what we're all here for, because we need to start changing that squad. Have you already hit the clear roll button on your squads, Simon?
Oh yeah, I've fixed them all up, but constant changes, especially this early in the week. So like the teams we show at the end of the stream are probably going to significantly change, I imagine.
Yeah. I like to think, well, I assume that you're kind of working 3 or 4 weeks in advance in your head already, and you've kind of planned out this week's team like months ago, and you're just kind of doing the logistics of it now. But
round 38, Saliba will top score.
All right, write that down, everyone, because it will probably happen. So Brighton versus Leeds. Well, first we have lots of games. I think it's 5 fixtures.
This is key.
Time slot, which is huge because that means we get the lineups for 5 sides before lockout. So if you're willing to stay up and stay up or get up to see the lineups, you could have a huge advantage here. So Brighton versus Leeds. Obviously, a lot of Leeds players have done well the last few weeks. A lot of Brighton players as well, in particular Welbeck, doing quite well. Anyone in this game that you'd fancy?
I think Welbeck's a good shout in for a point of difference. I was looking at him last week. 2 goals in the past 5 against Leeds for him, and that's over a stretch sort of period, given Leeds have been down in the Championship a little bit. So he's good option to go with. I think Matoma might be back, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's benched to begin with, given their form in the attack. Minte's always a pretty good option. What I will say, though, is Leeds aren't really high up for conceding pretty much any stat. So I wouldn't bank on like his usual domination of the stats for Minte. Might be a little more subdued unless he can score or assist, which he might be able to do against Leeds. So
yeah, nice. Sorry, and I just realised I forgot to mention we are doing the giveaway at the end of this show. We're going to be opening up a few All-Star packs and giving away some of the cards. So all you have to do to enter is get in the chat and ask questions, answer questions, all of that. And then, we'll be doing the same as every week where Zonal picks a row, I pick a row, and the third row goes to whoever wins on the wheel. And we'll do that a few times. So back to round 10, sorry. Leeds. How do you see them backing up from last week? They had a few players consistently in the team of the week. Is this good fixture?
Roden was a good matchup. I actually swapped him late when I saw the lineups because the Paqueta at striker just meant I thought he was going to dominate in the air, which he scored from a corner. West Ham are pretty terrible from set pieces as well. Whereas this week, he'd be up against like Dunk and probably like Van Heck. So a little less on like Roden because I think they might concede too. Longstaff looks like one of those players that just like sort of racks up stats. Although I thought he was a bit subdued because I would say Stack didn't play. So not having Stack there meant a different role for him. Didn't get as much of his stat accumulation as you usually would. So I don't know, like I think Longstaff is still an option. Even better if we get the lineups for this one, so even better if Stack's starting. But I'd be more inclined if he's not to maybe not play Longstaff, given a lot of people might too, so you might get a bit of an advantage.
And is there anyone else from that Leeds side that you'd be interested in, or just those?
Yeah, not really at the moment. I'm also leaning towards Brighton if I pick any, but I'm not really interested in this game too much.
Yeah, cool. Let's crack on to the next one then. Next up, we have Burnley Arsenal. Now, this on paper looks like a pretty tasty fixture for those Arsenal forwards and probably midfielders as well.
Defenders as well. Bit of everything for Arsenal.
Yeah. What about that -4 to keepers? Is that a concern to you, or just still think it's Raya's like a pretty safe, comfortable keeper to win?
I'm not going to play Raya because the same thing happened with Liverpool, Burnley. They're just not attacking enough against these big teams. So, like, even if you get the clean sheet, you got 10, you may as well take a risk on one of the 50-50s where they're going to get enough saves to get like 6 or 7 points. Then if they get the clean sheet and get even more saves, they're in like the 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with Arsenal, if you had to rank the Arsenal players in priority of getting in your side, I'm assuming Saka's at the top based on what we've talked about in the past, or is it
Rice?
Yeah.
Main reason is so Burnley are top for a bunch of conceding stats like key passes, shots, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rice is pretty high up on all of them. He makes a lot with Eze, but I just think this will be a game where he sort of gets given time on the ball, dominates. If he's on set pieces, then he might even score one of them or set up some goals. But he's going to get a lot of time, like a Bruno Fernandes typical game. So I think anyway he'll accumulate the stats that we need. If he does get a goal or an assist, great. But Saka's pretty close in second. Gabriel's in my team at the moment. Timber's in my team. I think that's about it, just because I don't want to go near Raya. And I'm not sure if Saliba's fit again, but he did go off injured in the last game.
Yeah, and we saw Eze score for, I think, was it the first time this season for Arsenal?
I think so, for Arsenal. Yes. I don't know if he scored for Palace before he left.
Yeah, I don't know. But I still think he's a fair way off getting a spot in my side.
Yeah.
The one I do actually currently have in my side, which is a bit concerning for me, to be honest, but I'm not sure if they'll make it through to Sunday, is Gyökeres. This kind of feels to me like the kind of game where he's going to actually just bully his way into a few goals.
Maybe. He the thing I don't like with it is I'm pretty certain he scored most of his goals on counters and like through like burn and past the defenders for their line, and then one-on-one with the keeper. With Burnley, he's probably not going to get that here because they sit so deep with the low block that I'm more inclined to pick players like Rice, Eze that are going to whip the ball in. Maybe he gets some headers. That could be an opportunity or a chance. I like Timber because he's really good in the air. Set pieces is always the chance of a goal, and he's really good coming down that side and providing like whip and whipping the ball in.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't see him staying. There's a couple that I probably want over him, but just in terms of my card balance, in terms of rarities, what I have, that's where I'm sitting at the moment. That's probably it for that one. Like a few, like Hartman did really well last week, but it's playing Arsenal's probably not the matchup you want to be picking players or.
Well, the thing with Hartman as well is if you take away his assists, which comes with the key passes, I think he got like 1.5 as his score. Probably not going to do that against Arsenal. So probably more likely in that low to negative scores, especially depending on how many Arsenal end up scoring. Word of warning with Timber, I've said it the last few weeks that they could rotate Ben White in at any time. So it'd probably be likely the first time I play Timber for the season that it happens. So just be careful. And they will like sub Timber on because they'll just Ben White's coming back from injury, so he'll play like 70 minutes and then get subbed off for Timber.
Yeah, okay. So it comes with risk, hey?
Yeah, especially with me buying him.
All right, we'll push on. Next up is, I think, Crystal Palace and Brentford. Now, Crystal Palace has been pretty much a rock of a lot of our defences for the whole season, apart from last week where we're a little bit iffy about playing them against Arsenal.
Yeah.
The matchup obviously looks a lot nicer for these defenders, unless you've got some stats to prove otherwise. But are they your regulars just slotting straight back in this week?
I think it's a good call. I've currently got Muniz and Guehi.
Yep.
Albeit Brentford have, funnily enough, won the last two matchups. So they won both fixtures last season. Okay. So Palace are a lot better this season. Palace have only actually won once in the 11 games that these two have played against each other. So I wouldn't necessarily bank on a Palace win. I'd bank on them more both playing sort of defensively, seeing each other out. Maybe it ends relatively low scoring.
Yeah, okay. If you had to rank the Crystal Palace defenders, obviously there's the 5 in there. What kind of priority, like what order would you be putting him in?
Pretty similar to their averages at the moment. So Munoz, because even when they don't perform, he seems to do pretty well. I think last
Yep.
week was one of his only bad weeks.
Mhm.
Then I'd probably go Guehi.
Mhm.
Lacroix is pretty good for just general stats. Mitchell for certain types of matchups. This one I'm not thinking
Mhm.
uh, is one of those. Particularly, what's Mitchell's matchup? He's on the left. He's probably going to be, it won't be Sade, it'd be their other winger. So like he could have quite a difficult matchup with this game.
Mhm.
Uh, and then you've got Richards. Richards a couple of weeks back was one I ranked at 1 because of the stats he was pulling in that particular game. I don't
Mhm.
think he's got those for this, so I'd probably have him in 5th.
Yeah, cool. And then with Mateta, obviously had a pretty hot run of form coming into the Arsenal game. Is he someone that could be on your radar against the Brentford side?
Yeah, because they could I could definitely see both teams scoring in this one, particularly Palace. So yeah, he's an option. Jeremy's an interesting one because he's sort of a point of difference. Um, I don't think Mateta's actually scored in the past 5 matchups for with these two teams, so that's
Yeah.
just a
Okay.
bit of a warning for that.
Mhm.
But like, there hasn't been too many of the popular ones that have scored. I think Sade's had 2 in the last 5, and that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And who else have we got? Maybe Sar's been
Yeah,
an
yes,
option.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Pacey and some bigger centre backs who might not be as quick, so
Mhm.
could definitely see him getting through. Damsgaard's another interesting one. I rate Sade as well because Sade's like a midfielder who plays on the wing / up front. So good option for an out of position player. Damsgaard seems to generate most of the Brentford chances, so
Yep.
could create something against Palace's more defensive style.
Yeah. And he's had a couple of back-to-back decent scores as well. So he's gone 18 and a half and 16 and a half in the last 2. So
Yep,
he's got you know, I guess the form and the floor there. So
for
definitely a good
sure.
shout. And the
Um,
last one was maybe a Henderson as well. What do you
I prefer Yarmolik. I
Okay.
think I'm saying that right, Yarmolik. He comes out a bit better in the stats. I do think Henderson's been probably scoring more game day squad points, but just in the background, I would rather pick him than Henderson. If I
Okay.
was to pick either, I'm not thinking about picking either. But
Mm.
yeah, um,
Yep.
actually, two I would consider this game is the keepers, Henderson and Kelleher. It's like a 50-50 style game that could be low scoring, so it could produce shots. Yeah, I reckon you could go either of those for a point of difference.
Yeah, sweet. Cool. All right, we'll crack on to the next one. It's Fulham and Wolves. Strand Larson, got to go.
Yeah, penalty spot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a goal.
Yeah,
It's the floodgates have opened. What, like, this game's probably you'd be looking at Fulham, or you, like, I know you had a few Wolves players last week.
I like Fulham in this.
Yep.
I like targeting Burnley and Wolves at the moment just because of how poor their form's been. I had Arias last week, still scored decently, 7.5, subbed off at like probably like the 70th minute. So the scores were there, he just couldn't find the goal or assist to top it off. He did hit the
Mhm.
crossbar from a free kick, so that could have been nice. But um, Brano's a similar type. He's like the defensive version of stacks up the stats regardless
Mhm.
of them conceding. So you could go him on the chance that Wolves manage to keep it clean against Fulham, who aren't overly great at scoring goals.
Yeah. And then with you said you're on Fulham this round or this game.
Yeah.
Who do you like out of them?
So since we get access to the lineups before lockout, I like Kevin. He
Mhm.
came on at halftime, changed the game a little, was really good, and he comes out really well in the stats for someone that hasn't played a lot of time. I'm thinking because of that performance, he's probably going to start this one. I get to know anyway, regardless. And for the stats that Wolves concede, he's high up there in those. So I think he
Mhm.
could be a really good point of difference that barely anyone will touch.
Yeah. And I think I saw his legend got packed the other day.
Yeah, it might have
Um,
been there today. Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
saw that
that's
too.
it's a nice little catch for someone, especially
Yeah.
this week. What about someone like Iwobi? I had him as a pod last week, and he absolutely stank it up.
I think
Just
he's good too. He's getting a few of the stats, so he's definitely an option given the opposition.
Yep.
There's someone else I was looking at too. Tete.
Okay.
Tete's been like one of those quiet achievers, and I feel like there could be a clean sheet from Fulham, albeit some interesting stats for this specific game is there's been no clean sheets in the past 5 for this matchup, an average of 3.6 goals in these past 5 games. So usually plenty of goals.
So does that rule out someone like Leno, would you say?
I'd back him more than obviously the Wolves keeper, but it could mean that he just has a really good game because they keep the clean and Wolves are still going to get some shots given the recent history.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, Iwobi has 3 goals in the past 5 between these two.
Yeah,
So
okay.
could
So
be
it
a
might
good
actually
option.
be a little pod there. Maybe I just got the week wrong when I picked him. But yeah, it's probably not a super fun one either, apart from what we've talked about. It feels like there's... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say Fulham have only lost once at home as well this season, and it's to Arsenal.
Okay. So, I mean, you'd probably expect them to win this then against like a struggling Wolves. Good form.
Wolves haven't won away either this season.
Yeah. So I think for me, I'd be staying away, even though like Bueno does accumulate. It's probably not one for me.
Yeah.
Especially now that the Crystal Palace defenders are coming back into like an option. It kind of takes away at least 1 or 2 slots every week. So we've got, yeah. All right. Forest versus United. What did you make of Forest in their first game under their new manager?
The Porto game was really good, but then they backed it up with some quick conceding against Bournemouth. Arguably, that's one of the better attacking teams in the Prem, though, so it's hard not to concede to them.
Yeah. But there were still a few decent scorers, even in the loss for Forest. I think you had
Elliot, Anderson and Williams, both really good. Like, just accumulated their stats still. Clean sheet obviously would have been super good for Williams. It topped him off as like a pod pick, but 10.5 is still great.
Yeah. And United now kind of looking a bit more, I guess, solid. So probably would be expecting them to get up and probably score a few goals this week. Does that take Williams out of contention, even though he's accumulating in a loss?
Previously? Yeah, with this one, like last week, he was playing a team that typically concedes most of the stuff he does. This week, not so much. It's actually finally a lot of the United players that are going to have that benefit against Forest. So like Mbeumo, Kuna, Fernandez, all really good. So they're all on my team at the moment. Last time I did play that trio, though, Kuna got injured.
Yeah, it's how we've got a question in the chat as well. So, how much do we trust Dogu start?
I'd back it more in this type of game because the manager might just think, okay, this is probably against a lesser team at the moment, so let's rotate him in. So I'd probably back him to start, but I'm still not going to pick him just because, like you just said with Crystal Palace, they've got a decent matchup, so you sort of want to load up on a few of those. Same with the Arsenal defense.
Yeah. No, so I think I currently do actually have a United defender in Delete. Who, I don't know if you've got any stats there, how he would come out against a Forest side. Purely, I guess, I'm probably looking into the Forest defensive numbers too much, given that they're onto their, third manager now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say, but they seem quite a bit more solid now in defense, and he seems like as part of that. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but he gives me confidence.
Yeah, I get you. Like, and they're used to playing the style, so like this could be a good classic game for them where they're back at home. United are in good form. United run into a problem with Forest's defense, and Forest end up keeping a clean sheet because of it. Could see the old like United pop up too. So I wouldn't be against, like, as a point of difference to say Palace defenders to go for like a Milinkovic and a Williams, or like 2 for Forest. Maybe even just Sells instead, because Sells might still keep them in the game and keep the clean sheet off the back of his ability in goals. Showed it a lot last year.
Yeah, okay. So what you're saying is I would need to hit the clear all button on my side again. Got plenty of day. I've got heaps of time, so that's all good. But yeah, it's It's just it feels weird having both Bruno and Buemo next to each other in the same team. I just kind of feels like I need to be spreading out my players a bit more, but that obviously shouldn't come into it. But
So
yeah,
last time I did have them together in midfield, I felt the exact same. It was that game where Kuna got injured. Forget exactly who it was against, but Bruno and Mboimo, I think, both scored, but I think they both were above like 15 points. I think it's beneficial playing those two because with Bruno sitting a bit deeper, we get access to the lineups for this too. So if Bruno is sitting a bit deeper, he's likely the one that's going to provide Mboimo with the pass to score, or vice versa, or Kuna. So I like having either the trio or two of them this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've both been scoring very consistently well.
Yeah.
The last 3 weeks, both of them have scored above 15 or above every game, with, Buemo going 37 last week. So it's, obviously 2 goals is going to do that, but it's, we shouldn't be worried because they're consistently putting on the good scores together. So it's not like they're stealing.
Yeah, and it's a good game for Fernandez now that Forest are sitting deeper because he's going to be able to pick up that ball from a deep position for United and just get all the stats he usually does, the key passes.
Yeah. And did we talk about Lemons as well?
Lemons,
goals?
yeah, another good one. So, like I mentioned, Sells, this is another one of those it's less so 50-50 now with how Forest's form has been this season. But you could go for Sells or Lemons here, and I think I've got Lemons in my team currently.
Yeah, I think I do too, just because I see him a bit more of a pod, because he's not being in packs for as long as Sells has. So that could change again. It's only Tuesday, so we've got plenty of time to muck around, but that's what we're working with now. So I think that was the end of the first lot of games. We now move into the next 3:30 a.m. fixture for Tottenham and Chelsea. This is an interesting one, which makes me a little bit nervous, and I actually don't even know if I've picked anyone from this game.
Yeah, it's you go ahead.
I was going to say there's maybe a couple of Chelsea players. I'm a bit nervous about picking Tottenham players at the moment. So
I would be too. They've only won once in the last 18 against Chelsea.
Okay.
And Kudus has played Chelsea 3 times, albeit for West Ham, and has never scored or assisted for them.
Yeah, that was similar. That was similar to last week. I think he had a pretty similar stat, and he didn't do much last week. So it was a great shout to drop him. So you think similar kind of setup again this week?
Yeah, I'd bank more on Chelsea than I would Spurs. Chelsea have 3 clean sheets in the past 5 against Spurs. Keep in mind, Spurs have looked like really good under Frank, so could all change. I'm not too reading into historical too much because of that change.
Yeah. So like a Cucurella or who else, like a Chalobah?
Cucurella could be a good option, especially with Chelsea being able to keep the cleans against them. Enzo has 2 goals against Spurs in the past 5 meetings, so he could be back on the menu if we weren't already playing him last week. He scored decently anyway last week, which makes midfield even more of a pain to pick. What else? Spurs have only won 1 of the past 8 home games against Chelsea, so even at home they're not being able to do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and with, I guess, João Pedro, I foolishly backed him in last week, thinking things were turning around with some players coming back in.
Yeah.
Did he have the better position last week? But still, was he still out?
Striker's not what he wants because he at striker he tends to get man marked by the centre backs.
I thought he was named. I didn't think he was named as striker though, but he obviously just slotted in.
So I saw this as well. Originally, I used Flash Score for my lineups. Originally, they had Fernandez sitting at DM and him at cam, and then before kickoff happened, it swapped and Enzo was at cam and he was at striker.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, it didn't work out for me. I'm not backing my gut on that one again, and I'll stay away.
I haven't actually checked what Pedro's done for Brighton against Spurs, so I'll have to do that after this, because if he has had a decent record against Spurs, it might be interesting. even at striker. But I'm more likely to go Enzo, given he's got history and he's playing well at Cam.
Yeah. Now, last week, obviously, there were a couple of decent Spurs defenders in Porro and Van de Ven, but that obviously is because of goals, not necessarily because of defense.
Yeah.
Are they the kind of players that can accumulate without?
See, Porro is more of one.
Yep.
He, I think he did it for Spain, and I'm not sure if he had an assist in that game or not. But given his role and like wingback sort of being relatively GameDay squad friendly, he's always a chance. I think Van de Ven's a little less likely. He sort of more relies on. I think he had 2 headed goals, was it, on the weekend, and his score was at like what high to mid 30s.
Yeah, 38.75.
Yeah,
so
which is still really good if you take away the goals. So
I mean, he topped the round. Yeah, and obviously, I know your feelings about both these keepers actually, but do you see them? Is this one of those games where it's potentially tight, potentially a lot of shots to save?
It is.
Concerned about them actually saving them.
Yeah, and it is a 50-50 that could be one to select from. But given Chelsea have those clean sheets in the recent fixtures, Sanchez might be an option, particularly with... I don't know what Frank will do because I don't think there's obviously not Champions League because it would have been on to like today or tomorrow. So more likely Richarlison starts up top again in the league, which has been a little while because of that. I don't know. He might get some shots away. I don't think Richarlison's the most clinical. Obviously, he has scored a few times this season, though. So,
the other thing which I think a lot of people are forgetting about is that Chelsea were talking about rotating all their players, which includes Sanchez. So that's something that's just always going to sit in the back of my mind that if I pick Sanchez, he's not guaranteed to play. Yeah. So, I'd probably stick well away from both these keepers. All right. We'll push on. Next up, Liverpool, Aston Villa. So, Liverpool have been not the Liverpool we know, which
struggles.
Yeah.
It's like again, and they came out really well in the stats against Brentford, albeit it was at Brentford, which made things a little tricky. It's rough because this week it's another game where they're really good in the stats. Like Aston Villa hasn't beaten Liverpool in the past 10 meetings. The last time they beat us was a 7-2 win. If you remember that way back when.
No, I don't, but yeah.
I think Grealish was involved in it. 3 draws in the run. The rest have been like Liverpool wins. Those 3 draws have come in the last 5 meetings, though. So relatively close and tight recently. Liverpool averages 2.1 goals in the last 10 against Aston Villa. So I feel like there might be a few more goals in it for Liverpool. City did struggle to break down Aston Villa last week, though. So could be another issue. And like Cash, who comes out really well in the stats this week, could be a good point of difference if you think Liverpool can't get it together.
Yeah. How much did Cash rely on the goal in terms of his scoring last week? Or does he still...
Well, with the stats this week, it's like he's in like 3 or 4 of them. So he should be able to accumulate based on what Liverpool allow, regardless of the clean sheet of the goal. I'd more say he's closer to a clean sheet than he is a goal in this one. He's funnily enough, he has an own goal in the last 5 against Liverpool. So
well, I mean, counts. In fact, Cash is the leading goal scorer for Villa, which
doesn't surprise me. They haven't been able to score much.
I mean, it's 2 goals, but it's still. But in terms of Liverpool, they're probably the side that would be thinking about playing more. Who do you like on that side?
I'm high on Dominic Szoboszlai this week because he seems to have locked down a role in the team. Like there was worries Wirtz was going to replace him at the start of the season, but he's so versatile that he could start at right back, could start at midfield. Slot just seems to want him in the team, and he's arguably been our best player. So because he's now got job security, and he's scoring well. He's another one who accumulates a lot of stats Villa concede. He's high on my priority list this week, but there's a lot of good midfielders this week, and it's hard to fit him in and not go template.
Yep. So I guess it would have to be a pod, obviously Grealish probably is a lock most week. We talk about that.
Yep.
We've got the United midfielders. There's probably a few others.
And Rice.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky to fit him in, but I think I'm going to find space this week just based on the last run of scores.
Yeah.
So 18.5 went a 5, then 14.5, 26.5. So it's like if you're consistently having players in your team getting those kind of 15s, if everyone does that, you're going to do great. That's all you have to worry about.
He's on set pieces too, like corners, and we tend to get a lot of corners.
Yeah, okay. What about like a Salah Gakpo kind of?
Salah's pretty good against Villa. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists in the last 5. So another option. I feel like the Villa defender is a bit slower as well. So ones he might actually be able to work his way past and not like get outpaced by. So I think it's a more decent matchup for him, and I'm sort of tempted to stick with him like I had him last week. Wirtz, if we don't get access to this lineup, which is a shame because Wirtz is good in the stats. So it could have been another pod because a lot of people obviously aren't playing him anymore. Aside from that, it's like Liverpool have 3 clean sheets in the past 5, so you could go towards the defenders. Not sure how much I'm willing to do that. And like maybe Mamardashvili could be an option. He was pulling off some ripper saves last week.
So like in my head, Van Dijk has just been one of those players that we probably should be playing and setting, but he's not backing it up with scores.
Yeah, our forms. Yeah, if we were better defensively, like even like 30 to 40% of what Arsenal's doing at the back, he'd probably be in teams every single week. But it's like it's just been like conceding goals left, right, and centre, which hasn't helped.
Yeah. And then jumping back over to the Aston Villa side of things, we talked about Cash. What about like Rogers, Watkins, Mallon, those kind of guys?
Rogers, no goals or assists in the last 5, I don't believe. Watkins, 1 goal, 1 assist. So not great form against a Liverpool team that could hold up and not concede.
Yeah. I think Cash would be the one for me, just because as well, I think I've mentioned him most other weeks as well, but I've never actually backed him. So
yeah, this might be the week for it.
Might be the week, but then similar to what you were saying before, it'll be the week that he probably gets rested or sits it out or goes off or something. So probably get carded. All right. Next up, West Ham, Newcastle. West Ham are just struggling.
Yeah, they struggle in this one too. Like they've only won 1 in the past 5. Newcastle have won 3 of those. Unbeaten in the past 5 home fixtures again, like for West Ham too. West Ham have lost every away game this season, and they've conceded like 3 goals on average in those away games. So it could be like stack up on Newcastle like attackers, albeit it's pretty hard apart from Voltmade to pick them. Or Gordon now that he's back as well.
Yeah. And what about a Bruno G as well? He came out pretty good last week.
Yeah, it's another. So he's 1 goal, 1 assist the past 5, so that has a little bit of a record against them. Funnily enough, before the Newcastle haven't won away in the league this season, though. They've drawn 3 and lost 1, so I don't know how relevant that's going to be against West Ham.
Yeah.
Bowen's interesting. He's got 1 goal, 3 assists in the past 5 against them. Apart from that, it's just like little ones here or there. Like Gordon's got an assist. Paqueta's got an assist. Souček's got 2 goals. Jolinton 2 goals, but I wouldn't really recommend going near them.
Yeah. What I like about Bowen as well is he had a decent score last week without a goal. So it's, the one of those kind of players that you can probably put in any kind of result or any kind of matchup because clean sheets aren't going to matter to him.
Yeah, and a chance of a goal or an assist. On the wing, he looks a lot more comfortable in like his role and what he can do. So I think it's good time to pick him while he's still playing there. I don't see Nuno moving him to striker again anytime soon, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And got a question. What about Tonali? Now, is he injured at the moment?
I feel like he played last week.
Oh, maybe.
If he is playing, like in the predicted lineups and stuff, I'd still back Bruno because Bruno has some sort of scoring / assistant history. So if you're choosing between the two, I'd go Bruno, albeit Tonali's become a lot better of a scorer.
Yeah. So yeah, Tonali is not on the injury list. So I'm either making that up or he's come good.
He was out for a week, I think, or was unsure leading into one of the game weeks recently.
That might be it. And Pope as well is one that he's pretty safe pick most weeks. He's comes
saves
out
a lot
good.
too. Bowen might get some shots on target and Pope might be there to save it. I'm sort of in between because I really, who do I have currently? I feel like keeper's a difficult one to select this week. I've got Rofs and I'm sort of in between him and Pope. And I think Pope's a bit more safe because I've got Lamans and I sort of want to stick with Lamans. So it'll sort of come down to, do I want Royce against Everton, he's a good shot stopper, so he could pull off some saves against the likes of Grealish and NDI. Whereas Pope, I think, is less likely to face shots. Still, obviously, could with like Bowen around. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Lamans and Royce at the moment.
Yeah. No, I think that actually might be where I'm sitting at the moment as well. It's been Pope and Royce in. 2 more games to go. Just a reminder in the chat, if you haven't already, just get involved to get your name on the wheel. We're going to be opening up some packs and giving away cards. So same as every week. Make sure if you haven't already, just get in the chat and Melissa's in there keeping a list. All right. Second last game, Man City and Bournemouth. It just lines up, doesn't it? That big green square for forwards playing against Bournemouth and Haaland. We don't have to talk about it too much because Haaland probably just starts every week. But...
Yeah, you sort of have to pick him. He does only have 1 goal in their past 5 against Bournemouth. I'm not sure how many of those he's played, though.
He did plank last week, didn't he?
Yeah, it's still with the 10.5, which is surprising given most of what he does is score.
Yeah, but I think last week as well, you said he hadn't scored much against Aston Villa.
Yeah. I'd have to check how many he's actually played against Bournemouth. The fact that you've got them in like a significant green there just, I think, solidifies him more. You sort of have to play him. Semenyo, I think, is a bit less so this week. He's got, same thing, 1 goal in the past 5 against Man City. I think there will be goals. There's only been 1 clean sheet in the past 5. That was a City one. So, I think you could definitely still pick Semenyo and Haaland, and a lot will. I'd be more leaning towards Fade and Salah. Sorry, not Salah. Semenyo and playing Haaland.
Yep.
If you're gonna go down the pod route and attack.
Yeah, and with City, obviously, backline is very hard to predict. Was it Guardiola? I think he came on, didn't he? And then he went negative, or
I think he started this one. The one before he didn't play at all, like he was unused on the bench.
But regardless, he scored negative. So if you played him, it's worse than not starting.
Yeah, exactly. Ruben Dias was good last week. I wouldn't go near defenders in this game because of the chance that Haaland scores a couple. Semenyo could score a couple. So with the rotation at City anyway, I'd just leave them out.
Yep. And what about that City midfield? Foden's been pretty good the last few weeks.
7 key passes last week.
Maybe almost cemented themselves in one of those tough to get locked in City positions, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say I had this chat with, I think, Jax during the week. Foden's one of those ones that Pep rates so much that he's in the Haaland sort of situation where if Foden's all good and not got anything going on, he'll start every game. Albeit last year, his down year was because I heard of some drama going on in his life. I think that's all done now. So now that he's back up to speed and dominating, he probably is pretty safe to play.
Yeah.
Which could be all right here because while Bournemouth are pretty good defensively, he could definitely unlock them. They're not like a low block team.
Mm-hmm. And do you think there's any room for like Donnarumma in this your side? He hasn't actually scored that well considering, like,
Yeah,
compared to some
keeps
other
conceding
keepers.
when you think he won't.
Yeah.
I think he's fine because he difference with a world class keeper is he could stop all these shots that like Semenyo or Krupi are taking, and that could boost his score up. Like it's a half decent game if you're going to play Donnarumma because the opposition's good in attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then Matty Cash scores against him, so
Yeah.
no. No, and the last one is I think Reinders has probably fallen
Yeah,
from
Foden's
selection.
taken the role. He's sort of he's still a good player in that more midfield defensive role, if you'd call it that. But like Foden's playing in that central attack and one where Reinders sort of needed to get his key passes up and assists.
Have you heard it much about Mamouche if he's coming back? And I think he came off the bench last week.
It's another one of those situations where like you've struggled to pick him because Doku's in the same boat, Bob's in the same boat. Like they're all really good players, and if you guarantee they'd start their considerations, but yeah,
no, I think that's fine. Yeah, that's about it. Hey,
yep.
All right. Last game of the round is Sunderland versus Everton. Annoyingly, Tuesday morning. So even though we've got a bunch of games lined up together, we still have to wait until Tuesday morning to know the results. This is probably actually going to have a few players remaining as well for us, which
The
could
last
make it,
games tend to.
yeah, make it quite interesting for that leaderboard waiting for it to refresh.
Yeah,
Grealish lock probably
most
every
people as
week.
well.
Yeah. Royce, we've talked about as a keeper option. I think I have him, if not on the next couple of screens, he probably will be after the episode.
Yeah.
But what about, say, like a Xhaka, those kind of guys? Like they seem like they're the accumulators as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like Xhaka can definitely do it. So might be his style of game where he does do that, given Everton have been a bit more, very attacking this year compared to previous years. Which is one of the reasons I like Royce even more. Like a lot will play him regardless, but with Everton being so attacking, if they don't manage to score and Sunderland do keep the clean, Royce is probably going to have a lot to do with that in terms of saves.
Yeah. And what about those defenders for Sunderland? Like, obviously, there's a few that have been proficient scorers, but then which ones?
I rate Muli, his name's Muli in game Mukiele, because he can play the right back and play the centre back. He's scored really well this season. So I feel like he's more locked than a lot of them are. So I'd go that way if you're going to go with it. We go back to the Palace having a good matchup, Arsenal having a good matchup. So I haven't fit one in yet. And I feel like Everton might score. I'm still going to back Royce in because Royce will probably make up for it with saves. But yeah, I'm erring on caution with the Sunderland defenders. I think a lot of people will go towards them. And I think this could be a 0-0 game or like a 1-0 game too.
So does that open up maybe a Tarkowski?
Potentially, maybe even a pick. Like the keepers from this is what makes keepers so hard this week because there's so many 50-50 games that you could pick from, and then you could go safe with like David Raya. This game, funnily enough, has had at least a clean sheet in the past 4 meetings. The team that doesn't keep the clean though has scored a minimum of 2 goals.
Right. Okay. So it's always at least a 2-0.
Yeah, it's been at least a 2-0 game for the past 4.
Yeah, with Grealish, in the way that he's been playing, I see that 2-0 going towards Everton, leading that way rather than Sunderland. So I think I'd be going a Everton defenders keeper. But then Roy's just for the, what we talked about, the added
save
bonus.
potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, unless you have anyone else you want to talk about in that game, that wraps us up for the fixture.
Only thing I've got left is probably Everton have only beaten Wolves away in the league this season. They've lost the remaining ones.
Yeah, Sunderland have it. They've been solid.
I think they're second, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're a side that I always look at as like a, potentially a punching bag because promoted, but they're just I still back Everton though in this one.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. All right. Well, that's it. So we'll jump into our team reveals. The 5v5 thing we've been doing, we're going to take that off the show and move it on to one of our socials just to kind of free up a bit of time so we can talk about the games a bit more. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. We will still be doing it. But talk me through your team while I set up this wheel.
Relatively template at the moment, early days. So Saka, Haaland, I've got Cunha in there. I've faded Semenyo at the moment, but he could slot back in for Kevin. Kevin's one where if he doesn't get named to start, it'll probably be a late decision to go just even more template with Semenyo. I could go Salah there too. Salah with his good record against Villa, and I like the matchup. I've got Mbeumo, Fernandes, Grealish, Rice. That'll be pretty close to what most people run, I imagine, this week. I sort of want to get Sosboy in there. It's just hard to find a spot. If I'm really backing in Sunderland to keep it clean, I could go towards Grealish, but he accumulates so much without having to do get a goal or assist. So, and then you got Bruno does the same. Rice who might do the same with this type of game. So maybe Rice could make way for Sosboy, and it's just one of the two.
But I guess they're both good options this week. So you're not really having to make too much of a tough decision because you're happy either way.
For sure. Defense to Palace to Arsenal. I think that's pretty solid. And then I've sort of got a pod as the last one. Could change from Tete. He's just the one I like at the moment. Then I got Lamans and I've got Royce and goals. Ran through why I'm keen on those two earlier.
Yeah, nice. It's that is a very solid team. I like that side more than mine, which I'm about to show you. I've gone my classic side just to show for the comp. I've gone a couple of pods up forward. I'm not liking how much of my salary cap I'm putting towards them, though, is my worry. So I've got platinums in both of them. But Gyökeres, I just have this feeling, but that's never worked out for me before. So,
I mean, if they're going to score 5, it's going to be against Burnley. So,
yeah, but will he score any of them? Is the question. But apart from that, midfield similar to yours. Sort of got Bruno and Grealish the same. Buemo's been coming in and out for Longstaff and Sosboy. I brought in purely because I was monitoring the transfer market on the Discord, and I saw that you were after him. So it's like, all right, that's a shout. I need him in then. And that was hot tip. If you want to get ahead and work out who's on all his picking, keep an eye on the transfer window the transfer thing in the Discord. And I know I was going to start throwing red herrings, so I shouldn't have said that.
No. Sosboy, and that's I reckon what might happen, because we've brought him to the surface. A lot of people are now going to go check his past games, like you've already mentioned his scores, and they go, "Oh, he's scoring really well. He's playing for Liverpool. They're playing Villa at home. Let me go pick him too." So I reckon he'll start becoming more of a popular option now, which is fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't really matter if he's popular as long as we have him as well.
Yeah.
And then backline, I don't like Van Dijk in there. He's just a default pick, which is kind of just one of my better silver placeholders, I find.
Yeah.
And then I leave him there until I can find someone better to put in. So he's there. Doubt he'll be there by Sunday. Probably will bring in another Palace defender, I think. I don't know if I love 2 Arsenal defenders just because I get a bit nervous with the second one.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gabriel's a lock every week now. And then, my keepers, I've gone Pope and Lemens. So
Yeah,
see how it
nice
looks
one.
on Sunday. But that wraps us up for the content. But now we will spin the wheel. So I think we have time to do 3 packs, do you reckon, Donald? Or
Yeah, we should be able to push it in there.
yeah,
How
sweet.
fast are you going to open the pack?
I'll speed run them. You know that's how it works. So first of all, thanks for watching, everyone. But I know you haven't finished, so I'll get the screen share up for the wheel, just so we can pick the winners. All right, so we've got 3 packs to open, so there'll be 3 names. And thankfully, I'm not going to remember these. So Melissa hopefully is keeping track of the order that they come up in. But first up, we got Melissa, convenient. Well done. It's probably the first time she's actually won anything, even though she's been in the chat every single time. So thank you for all your hard work, Melissa. So you'll get the first pack. Hopefully we get you an All-Star. Next up, we have Maxi. Right, Maxi will get the second pack, and then, so one of the rows from the second pack. The way we always do it is we have a 9-player pack. I get 1 row of 3, someone gets 1 row of 3, and then the winner gets the 3rd row. But we're generally pretty generous about giving out more. And then the last pack is going to Chris. Don't know if Chris has been a winner yet, so congratulations. So we'll jump over to GameDay squad. All right, we'll make this a bit better. Well, that's hang on. There we go. It's better. So, shall I do the good old refresh just to make sure it works properly? Ooh, looks like prizes have come in because I've got my starter packs.
Yeah, I just opened some of my commons.
All right. So we'll open up the All-Star packs for the prizes, and then, given we're already recording, I may as well just open up my packs as well while we're on stream.
I might jump out for that last bit, but I'll be here for these packs.
No worries. All right, so first up we have Melissa. So which one do you want?
I'll go middle.
You'll go middle? Cool. I'll go bottom. So Melissa is getting the top. So you're middle?
Yeah.
James Guard. It's a good shout for this week.
Not too bad.
Onyeka. And Dam's Guard again.
Dam's Guard.
Very good. Actually, can I make that bigger? Oh, I'll go that size, hey.
Yeah.
All right, so I was bottom, so got Enzo, very nice. Got Williams, and we have Milenkovic. This has been a pretty decent pack for players.
Decent silver pack.
But the top row from Melissa, hopefully we get her an All-Star.
Yeah.
Hickey. Kinski.
Darren, you can have a Dam's Guard as well, Mels.
Yeah, and you can have anything off my row as well if you like, just because all the work you've been putting in the background. That's pretty unlucky for her row, but
yeah, Aina out injured as well for a while.
Yeah. All right. Next pack. This one was for Maxi. Hey.
Yeah.
All right. Open her up. Which one do you want?
I'll just stick with middle.
All right. So the middle, we have a Donnarumma. Nice card.
Now, Maxi, if you don't have Donnarumma yet, you can have that.
Kamara. Pretty decent row. So I'll go bottom again. Mikolenko. Anderson. Hume. Again, this is like some very playable players here. And then top row For Maxi, we have Munetsi. We have Tanaka. And no All-Star, unfortunately, but Ollie Watkins. That's a
Watkins,
decent
not bad.
pack. All right. And we'll quickly jump into the last pack. And this one is for Chris. So same again, I assume?
Yeah, I'll just get middle again.
Yeah, sweet. All right, so the middle for you, we have Gabriel. This is incredible.
Same deal. If you want him, Chris. If you don't have him, feel free to.
Saar. And then Elliot. All right, I'll go bottom again. We've got Bolly. Roll. And Doi. So no All-Stars for me. Hopefully we get an All-Star for Chris, because that would be great if we could give one away. Up top we have Charleston. Amanda. I can't say that name ever.
Doesn't
and Sancho as well. So unfortunately, no All-Stars at all, but some very decent players in all of those packs. So if you want a pack, get in my DMs and I'll sort you out with a transfer. I know you've got a run-off, Sonald, so thank you very much.
No problems.
So
thanks, everyone. I am waving, even though you can't see it on screen. Now you can see.
There you go.
See you, everyone.
Yeah, and make sure we're always open in the Discord if you've got questions, so jump in there. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
All right.